Welcome back to the Coach Scott Field Show right here out of Brave Haven Studios. Again, want to thank Anthony Tolliver for his time and patience with us on the show. He shared a great journey with us, Bob, and what a great guy. And Ryan Andrews comes on, a BYU signee who's going to be going down to BYU this next fall, lacing him up and playing for Coach Dave Rose and the Cougars down there. Next, we're going to have a friend of mine who I've been friends with for a number of years, Sean Rooks. Played in the NBA for many years, played at the University of Arizona. He was in 1992, he was a second-round draft picked 30th overall, another big 6'10" man who made a career playing in the NBA, who's currently a D-League coach right now. Great person. Excited to have him come on and share with us. It's 9 o'clock here in Salt Lake City. I know the NBA has got the playoff games going on. Real quick, we could talk about how great the first round of NBA playoff games were. I think, 5-7 game series is in that first round. Tonight, Washington actually beat the Indiana Pacers 102-96. So for Kinsey and Travis out there, sorry, I know you guys' hearts are broken. Indiana's kind of struggling here a little bit. They peaked out early. They made a trade. Evan Turner came in. They sent away Granger, and seems like they just haven't quite found that chemistry and balance that they had going earlier in the year when, they really had it going. And they had their hands full in that first round with the Atlanta Hawks with Paul Millsap, a former Jazz guy. Yeah. Right now, the Clippers are beating the Oklahoma City Thunder 69-52. So Kevin Durant, who I'm hearing is going to be named MVP later this week, better step his game up. But it's halftime right now, 69-52. Wow. So let's see if we can't get Sean Rooks on. Again, while we're getting Sean Rooks on the phone, since we just had our prep segment of the week, want to thank TeamJMP.com. John Madsen, the strength and conditioning coach right here out of Salt Lake City. If you, as a player, are trying to get bigger, faster, stronger, prepared for your next game, your next season, get a hold of John Madsen at TeamJMP.com. Let him get you right. Physically strong. He's going to make sure that your game is ready.
Hi, is this Sean?
Yeah, this is Sean.
Hey,
How you
Sean.
doing, Bob?
Yeah, this is Bob from the Coach Scott Field Show. I got the coach here ready to talk to you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, but you're breaking in and out.
Oh, sorry about that. Hopefully the coach will be better. Take it away, Scott.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Sean Rooks, my man. How you doing, buddy?
Coach Fields, how you doing? How's everything been going?
Sean, I am so blessed. I can't tell you, to have you come on the show tonight. Where are you at tonight? Are you in California? Are you up in Sioux Falls? Are you on the East Coast? Where are we getting a hold of you at tonight, my man?
Well, first of all, I want to say, happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. I'm back home. My season ended. Had a great D-League season with the Sioux Falls Skyforce. The affiliate is, of the Miami Heat. We lost in the semifinals of the playoffs to the team that ended up winning it, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. So It was a good season, but now I'm back home, and it's good to be home.
Man, welcome to our show. Thanks for taking the time tonight, Sean. I've always had the utmost respect for you as a person, and a player. We shared with the viewers right before you came on that you played at the University of Arizona, 1992 NBA draft pick, second round, number 30 overall. You've had a great NBA career. You've been able to play with several teams, with many coaches, with a lot of great players, and now you're transitioning into the coach. So tonight, Sean, I definitely want the viewers that we have on the Coach Scott Field Show, not only locally but nationally and internationally, to learn from your insights and from your perspectives as an NBA player. You've done some assistant coaching at the NBA level, and now, as you said, with Sioux Falls in the D League. We're blessed to have you, buddy. So thanks again for being a part of the show, my man.
It's my pleasure. I obviously have a lot of utmost respect for you, and when you asked me to come on the show, it's definitely my pleasure. So I'm here and looking forward to it.
Well, let's talk some basketball, Sean. Gosh, it seems like we always see each other every summer out the NBA Summer League, where you're always involved and you're learning and growing. From the business aspect, the coaching aspect, and I just think that any franchise, whether it be minor league or NBA, they're blessed and fortunate to have you to work and develop these young kids, these players that are coming into the league. You can help them on the court with your skill set and the big man moves, but also helping them with their transition off the court and learning and developing them with the life skills that you can teach somebody. And any franchise, I don't care what level, is blessed to have you. And I believe in you, and I'm just so proud of you to see how far you've come within your career, my man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Very kind words. Thank you. You know how it is. We've both been on the same circuit of keeping ourselves busy and trying to get as much knowledge, while trying to keep ourselves busy. There's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of basketball to be learned, and, it's a pecking order. So, obviously, just like developing your basketball game on the court, how many times you go, to the basketball court, to the gym, and work on your left hand, your right hand, and your free throws is the same way we have to develop as a coach. You have to continue to develop as much of our game as we can. When I first started off, I thought it was just about teaching the drop step, and you would agree that there's so much more behind the dynamics of coaching and more importantly, managing a team.
Yeah.
I think once I got on the other side of the ball, I understood that, when you're playing and things don't go your way, you take things personal. I really could be helping them. I think I should be playing over this guy. But when you actually become a coach, you find out that it's all about, managing the game, winning the game, and then managing 10, 12 personalities on a team. And, once you see that side of it, as well as the strategy of the game, it definitely gives you a full spectrum and a true appreciation of what a coach goes through.
You bet. Well, I'm glad you segue into that because, you do have a unique perspective of both as a player at the highest levels with some of the best teams and some of the best talent, and now as a coach. How do you see the game a little bit differently now that you're developing your skill set as a coach? The thing that I see before you answer that, when I was real young starting in the coaching business, I had a guy tell me that you have to teach, and the better teacher that you are, the better coach you're going to be, because you can't take for granted that these players know or understand anything. You have to teach them and show them, because you can't take for granted that they know what you've learned through your experiences, and you have that skill set of where you're a great communicator, you're a great person, you've been there, you've done that, you've lived where these guys are aspiring to be. So I know that you take that skill set of teaching and working with these players, but how do you see it differently from a player's perspective and now as a coach, Sean?
Well, the thing is, you hear so many, as a fan on TV, you either know whether the guy's playing, whether he's a starter, whether he's a superstar, but there's a lot of people that are, and the intangible players in between where, yeah, you got to be ready to play if a starter goes down, but if everything's going good, you might get some DMPs. I went from a starter to getting my DMPs to being in the rotation to being behind, obviously, one of the greatest centers to play in Shaquille O'Neal. And, I've been in so many different systems that what was kind of a frustrating situation of not playing sometimes when you thought you should actually, turned around to be something that really helped me out. I've played under a lot of different basketball minds, Del Harris, Coach Don Nelson, Lenny Wilkins. I mean, a lot of different philosophies, and I've also mixed that with a lot of different personalities. When I was with the Clippers, Mike Olowokandi was, the star guy. That, he was the number 1 draft pick center.
Right.
Whether he was playing well, according to people, or whether he was, struggling and people weren't happy with his performance, my job was, other than to play and back him up, my job was to try to keep him mentally right, and so I would get little things like impact from Mike. I would say, when he would worry about missing 3-4 shots, I said, hey, look, I just came from obviously playing behind Shaq. Do you think Shaq, as long as you're making high-quality possessions and taking high-quality shots and, giving the move, making the right reads, the shots are going to fall. These are things you can't worry about every possession, or you can't worry about a bad game. And if you notice, that's how the superstars are. The superstars, they just continue to work to keep themselves in the best opportunity to be successful, but they don't hold on to one game to the next. So I think I've taken my past experiences as a player, being an undersized player who didn't have the greatest jumping ability, playing against a guy who could jump, or me being an undersized center playing against a massive center like Shaq. I've always had to find ways to be effective and compensate. I think the biggest turning point in my career to help me relate to players was when I played for Don Nelson in Dallas. Yeah, he's one of the best minds to ever coach the game. And Nelly would say, most teams will let their big guy post, even if they throw the ball into Sean Rooks against Dikembe Mutombo, Shaq. Okay, yeah, I might get a shot off where I score, get a good look where I can score the basket. But Nelly's philosophy was, okay, if we throw the ball into you 7 times, most likely, unless you're on fire, you're going to have a difficulty scoring against these centers that are bigger than you and shot blockers. So that's not even going to be an option. We want you to be able to pull to the 15-foot, allow Steve Nash and our guards to be able to penetrate, and guess what? You have to be able to knock this 15-footer down. And he said, Rooks and Bradley, because Sean Bradley was a teammate, if you can't knock this 15-footer down, I'm not playing you. You can't play for me. So obviously that was the time that I became a pick and pop guy and never looked back. So, it's a matter of adjustment. It's a matter of understanding the game. You can't take things personal. And the number one thing the players have to understand is no matter what light you're in at one point in time, whether it's not playing, whether getting sparing minutes, your time will always come around. And the players that succeed are the ones that are prepared for that moment, when their time comes around. It's so easy to fall, to get down in the dumps and, let yourself go. And then when that time, the opportunity comes around, you're not prepared. So my philosophy is no matter what happens, you always got to stay prepared, because it's guaranteed that it will come around and you will have your spotlight again.
No doubt, Sean. I love hearing you speak on that, and I can tell you're passionate about it because, you've lived that as a player, and now, you're articulating that and carrying that and sharing that experience with the players so that, when their opportunity comes, they will maximize it. I always knew that you would be a great coach one day, and I'm going to take you back to probably some stuff you don't even remember. I can remember working with you with the free agent team that we had. We didn't have any big name guys. We went into the Laker practice facility. We scrimmaged against the Lakers when they were undefeated. That summer league, that was when young Luke Walton was coming into the team. They had Kareem Rush in that group.
That's right.
But I remember we had like Matt Garrison, and we had Mike Penberthy, who came in and played just a couple games. Right. Yeah, and we went into that facility, and here's when I knew you were going to be a great coach. We sat there and we had to teach on the fly. We put in some offenses 45 minutes before we stepped on the court because Jelani Gardner hadn't been there, and some other players that were just free agents trying to come in and trying to get themselves some exposure and market themselves and their skill set for other teams, for international play. And I remember us specifically, we put in horns, and basically all I did was diagram it on the board. You took the group out there and you told the high post where they needed to be for their spacing and for their angles, and we put things in. But me putting that play on the board, you taking it out there on the court, right there in front of Kurt Rambis, right there in front of Tex Winter, right there in front of Bill Burtka. I knew right then by how you were explaining it to those players, the spacing and the angles and, you know, where to catch the ball and what to look for as soon as they caught the ball. I knew then you were something special, Sean, and you were comfortable in your role. Even though you had played in the NBA and they were aspiring to be there, you were teaching and preparing just like I know you do now. And that's why I know any franchise is going to be blessed and fortunate to have you to share that insight and share that knowledge with these young players to help them develop with their game as long as they're willing to listen and learn to you.
I appreciate it, and and that's the key to, I think, in the developmental league level as well as the college level as well as the NBA. It's all about reps, and it's all about being receptive to learning the game, because the one thing they say is there's nothing new that's going to happen on the basketball court. It has as far as the plays are concerned, they're basically the same plays with some tweaks, and
right.
As much as you gain, as much as you build your knowledge of the game, then you're more prepared on situations that have happened. For me, obviously, with different teams, you run your sets so many times to where obviously, in a typical practice day, it's monotonous. But these are the reps that you have to understand where you're supposed to be. So this is the same approach that I take, in my coaching venue, is just to keep on getting the reps, keep on learning philosophies, but understand the personnel. And I think the key thing I wanted to, kind of tell back is that you're exactly right. The interpretation, you can't, I think too many coaches at any level make the misunderstanding that, if you say something that the players understand exactly what what is going on, or they've seen this play again. Most likely these days, these players have not, and you have to build fundamentals. I think fundamentals are shot in the game today, or should I say, underestimated. So it's basically taking things back to the basics, building a foundation from the ground up, and then you can expand your game from there. So you definitely have to break it down as if you're teaching somebody and building, stripping them of their bad habits, putting a foundation of good habits, and then, like I said, then they can develop into who they want to be from there.
I love it, Sean. I've been blessed that, the good Lord put me on a path and a journey to where I've coached professionally as a head coach overseas for 15 years. We've won multiple championships, and, to have a near 800 win percentage. But I feel that the reason why we had that success was bringing the right people in, to fit the team, to fit the philosophy. And then, like you said, you got to teach and continue teaching and repetition with the fundamentals. And that's how I think we've gained those advantages. And I love hearing you talk about the repetition, because it truly does come down to, conditioning and muscle memory. Because after you do something enough times, it will become habitual, and you're going to be prepared for whatever situation that may be. Whether you're a face-up four who catches the ball maybe out of their comfort zone because they've scouted you. Now that you've got a go-to move, what is your counter move? And how are you teaching that player that counter move, and the angles that they should catch it, and where their footwork should be? Because I still see big man, the footwork is a lost art, and to slow them down and to teach that, exactly. It's amazing to me to watch. And then the big guys who really don't develop an inside game because they all want to be ball handlers or do something that their abilities don't allow them to do. But someone like yourself who's going to work with these guys and give them the repetition, show them the footwork, show them where their shoulders should be. The drop step. I see so many big guys catch the ball on a drop step and take their drop step to the baseline, which is not giving them a 45-degree angle. They may be sealing the defense, but they have no angle to hit the bank shot. If they take that drop step and that drop step goes to the front of the rim, there's your 45-degree angle. And that's the details in the teaching that you can share with these big guys that's going to help them seal that defender behind them so they can go up strong and get an and one with a wide base with balance.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, and I look back, I was fortunate to have, I was blessed to just have, I guess, my basketball angels, if you want to call them. I call one was Sidney Green. His
Ooh.
message that I'll always remember was longevity is the key. Just continue to work hard. It doesn't matter whether you're the 12th man or whether you're, in the starting five. Just always work on your game and to keep yourself to a level where, you're able to, somebody's going to want you and you're able to play. The other thing I've, learned from was when I was a rookie, not that I already had all these moves, but, that's where I played was on the block coming out of college my first 5 years.
Right.
And, I got away with, as I said, not being a great jumper with up and unders, using my body, step backs, just different ways to get the shot off. I'll never forget going and playing against Herb Williams when I first got to Dallas my rookie year, and Herb Williams was still with the Mavs. I played against him, I think, maybe 5 days, and this guy broke down my moves. Maybe it wasn't even 5 days, it was probably like 3 days. He told me all my tendencies and everything just by playing pickup with me, in this little bit of time. And I use that as a reference for the simple fact that you have to be a student of the game.
Oh.
You have to watch, like, compare yourself. I tell my son is a 7'1" center at Cal, and he's still developing the game. And with his body frame, when I played, I used to look and try to emulate players that were on the, that were playing the game at my time. So for him, I'm a big fan of Marc Gasol. My son's a big kind of guy. He's not, he's not fleet-footed like at Dwight Howard. He's more like a big body skill player like a Marc Gasol. Obviously, he still has a lot of work to get to a Marc Gasol level, but that's the player that, I kind of relate him to. And I just think you have to be a student of the game. You have to find different strategies, different ways that work for you. And the number one thing you have to have is a work ethic. I think the one message I always make sure I talk to kids about is something following up on the repetitions was Kobe. Kobe Bryant, I try to tell kids, as blessed as he is and as all the great shots we see on television, one thing these people need to understand is Kobe has seen these shots before. And what I mean by that is he's seen them in his work ethic. Kobe Bryant used to come to the gym about an hour, 2 hours before we would practice with the Lakers, and he works on his game. And if you notice the difference between a player these days and what I'm saying with Kobe is a typical player these days will get a ball, call themselves working out. They might have some headphones on. They'll shoot the ball. It takes them, 10, 20 steps to go get the ball, and now they might take another shot. So basically in 10 minutes, they probably take maybe 50 shots. You have to go game speed, at least 80% or higher in your reps. For now, when it gets into the game, it becomes second nature. So I try to tell people every time you see Kobe Bryant hit a game-winning shot, obviously he's blessed, his talent kicks in, but it's the reps. It's the reps. It's how many times he's seen those shots, and it's how many times he's seen those shots at an intense and high level. So now in the game, it's just a matter of him going through his mechanics. Yes, to the audience, to everybody watching, it's an incredible thing. But for Kobe Bryant, it's just a matter of him locking in, keeping his mechanics, and going with the same kind of basically procedure he would go through night in and night out in 1,000 shots that he takes every time he goes and works out.
I love to hear you say go game speed. When players are on their own doing individual work in the summer, in their mind they think they're working hard, but you are not going to emulate game if you don't go game speed. So I love and I'm thrilled to hear you say that. One quick question for you before we go off to a break, and then we'll have you come back after the break. You and I share this in common. We both have sons that are, your son is playing collegiately right now. My son's, made some college visits, getting ready to go off to play at the next level. And it's so thrilling to sit back and watch your sons grow in the game. But what's it like for you, being a former player and now coach, to watch your son when he was transitioning from high school, getting ready to make that journey, to the college level? Was it a nervous time for you to watch his games in the stands, or was you really able to watch and critique, or were you more of a supporter to fuel his emotional fuel tank, or what was that like being just a dad?
Well, it's just like you said. I think our first emotion is how blessed we are to, it's like last year, your son was, in high school, you didn't know what was happening with the recruiting. There's a little bit of a stress period there. I don't ever really stress on it. I know everybody says it, but I truly put my faith in God in that kind of aspect for the simple fact that we can't control it. You know, you can't control whether he gets hurt or whether he goes on and does things. So I just wanted to support him. It was a little nerve-wracking. My job was to just try to keep him calm and not panic. I'm like, son, you're 7'1", you know, and you can play a little ball. You're going to be all right, you know, and he had good grades. So my job was to keep him calm in the whole process. And then once he got to school, you know, my son is a little bit of a late developer, so, you know, it went in phases. I was very proud of him. He went to summer school early, which obviously anytime we do anything extra credit, we're very proud of our kids. So he shaved about half of his weight off in that process. So he put in some good weight to get his weight down. And now is a matter of going into a tough Division I season where, as you know, yeah, again, from the outside perspective, we talk about the Kentuckys, the Kansases, and all that, but as you see throughout Division I, you know, basketball, the parity is unbelievable. So even the schools you don't talk about every day have some talent. So for a freshman coming in and still trying to develop his big body, keep up with the, you know, speed of the game, and then also trying to fit in on the system where they had some talented guys, you know, it was just a matter of, like I said, just giving them the same mental massage and therapy of, hey, you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't be tripping off of every little thing that doesn't go your way or how much time. I think so much these days, kids are so much caught up in the image of what basketball does for them than the actual game. And I think it's people like us and the pioneers or people that truly have the love for this game for them to understand, no, it's not about the accolades. Those will come. You know, it goes back to that saying, what kind of player are you when the lights aren't on and you're the only person in the gym by yourself? Are you that person? Are you the same person? Or you just play for your friends? Or, you know, and you have to have the cheering and the popcorn popping and, you know, and see the stat sheets for you to shine. And it's always that kid that can do it, the gym rat that can do it on his own, and the privacy that is going to shine when the lights come on. And that's what I want to instill in my son.
Man, spoken like a true coach. I love it. I see nothing but head coaching in your future, my man. I love it. Hey, we're going to take a break here to pay the bills, and we're going to have you right back on the show right after this commercial break here, my man.
I'll be right here. Thanks, Coach.
You got it, buddy. We're back live, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, right here from Salt Lake City, Brave Haven Studios with the Coach Scott Field Show. We are so lucky to have Sean Rooks, an NBA veteran player who has learned from some of the best coaches around the league. He's played and been teammates with some of the best NBA players that have played the game. He's now currently, you know, wearing a coaching hat. He was with Sioux Falls this year, a team that got into the playoffs, who were ousted by the team who ended up eventually winning the D-League championship, the team out of Indiana, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. We've got Sean Rooks live with us right now. Sean, you're back on here with us, my man.
That's good. I'm ready to go, Coach.
All right. Hey, you are bringing it with some passion, my man. I love it. That energy radiates and that passion spews from you. I know you're probably doing camps and clinics and, you know, any way that you can be around the game. I know that you look for those opportunities. If there was a viewer out there, not only locally but nationally or internationally, who wanted to get a hold of you, Sean, is via Twitter, is that the best way for them to contact you? If they wanted you to come speak to a church group or to a group of boys at a camp or a clinic, how can people get a hold of Sean Rooks, my friend?
Definitely. You can reach out to me on Twitter. Obviously the social media is big for requests and advertising. My email address is bigskor 45 @gmail.com. So big score 45 @gmail.com.
I'm
And
going to make.
just like you said, as much as I could reach out and just help be an ambassador towards the game and keep things keep things back in the grassroots. Obviously, there's so much stuff that circles around basketball. Just keeping that positive word, giving feedback. Definitely loving coming talking to kids and training and giving back. So that's the best way to reach me.
Well, our producer Bob is going to put that email address up on the graphics for us as we continue to wind out the show. But again, super excited to have you on, my man. We've had a great show tonight. Our friend Anthony Tolliver with the Charlotte Bobcats was on with us tonight. Shared his journey and insights. Then we had a local 7-footer who I was able to work with when I came back from coaching professionally. In Venezuela, who just signed with BYU. He was on our show tonight, and now we're lucky enough and blessed enough, Sean, to have you on our show. The whole reason we do this show, Sean, and I know our viewers, over 13,000 strong, globally that have watched us know that we're all about empowering, and we're trying to empower players, we're trying to empower coaches, we're trying to provide content, but quality content and resources for these players and coaches to become better players and to become better coaches and to help them grow no matter what field that they choose, because a lot of the life lessons through sports and through our faith can be passed on to any walk of life or any industry in life. And Sean, we're lucky to have you, my man. And again, I appreciate you, taking time away from your family for a moment. I know there's NBA games going on right now that I know you could be watching, and you're probably taking notes, in preparations for your next step, whatever that may be within your coaching career. But I definitely see head coaching in your future. And, I've always said that if the good Lord blessed me enough, I would want to surround myself with gentlemen just like yourself who have the experience, have the knowledge, have the passion, have the ability to teach and develop these young players. That's the kind of people I want to surround myself with. And if I ever get that break, Sean, you better know within the next 5 minutes I'm going to be blowing your cell phone up, because I would want you to be a part of a staff that I would be able to put together, because you're only going to make me better, just like you're making the Coach Scott Field Show better right now, my man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Coach. I'll always coach with you. We've, as we said, we've both been on the journey for a long time. And, as soon as you ask me to come on the show, I know what you represent. And it really is about empowerment. It's really about the power of positivity. Again, there's so much negativity surrounded around the sport. It's all become, in the wrong people's eyes, it's all become about the money, the fame, the glitz and the glamour. And I think that people are forgetting about the sweat, the ups and downs, the heartaches, the disappointments that you have to overcome and bounce back from. That is what makes these players who they are. And I wanted to tell back, and I want to give a lot of credit and respect and admiration to Anthony Tolliver. I remember when he was playing in the D League, and he is the epitome of a true professional who started off in minor league basketball and put in that hard work. The same guy that you see every day now is the guy who I had the moment, the times that I did get to watch him play and appreciate him from afar. And I've always been very proud of him from afar, because I know that he grind to get where he is. And a modern day example for the current viewers is Troy Daniels, that is with the Houston Rockets. This guy played in the D League all season long, had a great NBA developmental league season. But, hey, there's a big difference between having a successful minor league season and, as I said, being prepared for that moment when it's going to come. And, thousands of reps, confidence, and hard work paid off, because when he got his moment to shine, everybody thinks it's easy, but we all know to hit a shot in a crunch game of a playoff when you've never seen that in your life is something that he will always remember. and it's definitely a tribute to his hard work and dedication, and that's the same thing I want to put out there to Anthony Tolliver and everybody in that position.
You bet, Sean. You know, I've got to echo that, because let's play that back for just a moment. Round one, they're in a tight series, a pivotal game that was much needed. Coach Kevin McHale grabs him, puts him in where, you know, some of those veterans who, you know, didn't get picked when they got called upon. You're talking about a guy who came in cold-blooded, poised and relaxed, and allowed his body to do what he's done in preparation. Like you said, when there were no lights and there were no 20,000 fans screaming his name, he came in, and when he got the opportunity, he maximized on that opportunity. He had the confidence to step up and knock it down when that ball got in his hands, and splash. Wasn't that fun to watch?
That's right. And like we said, it's all about reps, muscle memory. You know, to the outside person, the D League, you know, we've never heard of that. It's a minor league, it's not the NBA, blah, blah, blah. But these guys are, you know, these guys that are using that format to get themselves to the next level. You know, he did that all season in the NBA developmental league, and now he had his time to live out his dreams and fulfill his hard work. And guess what? He stepped up, took the shot, and you know what? He hit it and act like he'd been there before. And what a better scenario for it to play out.
I love it. I love it. You know, Sean, I had a lot of people, you know, sending me, you know, tweets and private messages, you know, through text and on Facebook and all the social media, LinkedIn, you know, and everybody wanted me to ask Sean Rooks, because you're a former Clipper, you know, about experiences that maybe you had with Donald Sterling. I am not even going to go there, because you know what? There's too many positive things to take from our industry than to sit back and dwell on a situation, you know, that was a true black eye. And I'm glad the NBA made the decision that they made. I support the lifetime ban, so we're not even going to go there, because I want to continue this positive energy, this aura, this spirit that's flowing on our show right now. And I want to continue to allow you the opportunity to use this as a format to, you know, share your words of encouragement to young players. For all the young players that are out there listening to the Coach Scott Field Show right now, Sean, what message, if you could send one nugget to every player out there listening to the Coach Scott Field Show right now, Coach Rooks, what would that be?
Well, my first thing, you know, I really appreciate it. You know, I didn't know how we were going to go with the whole, you know, obviously with the dark cloud over the Clippers. I just want to say that, you know, the one thing that I do want to say, the positive message about that, is that the players did an excellent job in unity. It just goes to show you what unity, whether it's a basketball team, whether it's anything in life and in business, if you unify in a positive way, come together and stand for something that you believe, then you can take down anybody or anything at any odds. And I think that was the number one thing that I was very proud of the players. And, you know, on that tip, I'll leave that alone. And as far as the players are concerned, you know, I just would love for players to get away from the entitlement. You know, do something in life that, you know, you're doing it for the passion. You're not doing it to reap the benefits of it, and the benefits that you should be trying to reap from it are just your personal goals, your personal accolades, and just doing something because you love. Because when you do something you love, it's like the saying, you don't work a day in your life. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I always have a saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know, I never forget that. It was something that Mike James, who is another guy who should be out of the league or past his prime, but he's just a student of the game. He plays all the time, very passionate, and he's a guy that just hangs around, finds himself with a job. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You can be the most talented person in the world, or you can be the least talented person in the world. It's all about getting that work in. It's not taking days off. And, you know, when I talk to a lot of young kids, I try to let them know, as you said, your broadcast is not just locally, it's nationwide, and it's international, it's global. That's where this game is. This game is global. So you're not just competing against a kid across the city or across town or the next state. You're competing against all of those people, as well as kids that are across the country, as well as global, that are trying to get your spot. So you can't take any days off. And if you think that you're going to practice and you call practice work, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because it's all about, you know, the modern day terms, getting it in, you know, grinding. So, they sound like harsh words, but it's really just perfecting your craft and taking something that you want to excel in serious and not just sitting back and expecting people to give things to you, which is what we call entitlement. And too many players have that these days. So just stay humble, keep working hard, appreciate what this basketball, because, the number one thing you have to understand is if you play a sport or if you have a talent or work for that talent can allow you to do things that you might not have ever done. Basketball has taken me global. It's allowed me to meet some of the most amazing people such as yourself. It's allowed me to be on the show. It's allowed me to bring experiences and afford a life towards my children and my family that they probably wouldn't have been able to afford if I wasn't blessed to have this opportunity. So there is so much more of a bigger picture than hey, I'm just playing ball so I can be popular. I'm just playing ball so I can have this materialistic item. You can change lives, and I think that's the one thing. And for my coaches, I learned this from Coach Bob Sir, the NBA Assistant Coaches Program. I think is one of the most powerful messages that he taught me in my coaching development was you don't coach the player, you coach the person. So if you develop the person and you develop habits, the same habits you're going to take to the court or the same habits you have in your life are the same habits that you're going to go on the court. It's all related. There's not too many people with dysfunctional life that can get on the court and handle everything. Yes, they could be dysfunctional in life and know how to play the game, but as you know, in basketball, it's about getting along with your teammates, being good teammates. It's about understanding plays. It's about being receptive to criticism. There's so many facets of basketball that if you're truly trying to perfect your craft, that go into it. It's not about just going out getting buckets, as they so-called say. So if your life is dysfunctional or not in place on one side, I don't think it's going to be an equal balance. So you have to learn how to balance both sides so you can be effective in every facet of your life.
Wow, Coach Sean Rooks. As always, not only did you deliver, you exceeded everyone's expectations of what you were bringing to this show tonight.
It was my pleasure. I was looking forward to it, Coach.
Hey, listen, buddy. Class act, well-spoken, great messages. I mean, you threw so many nuggets at us. We could put out the golden arches tonight because that's a lot of great nuggets right there, my man. And I appreciate you sharing that time with us, my man. We are truly blessed. And to hear you talk about entitlement, that's the same message that I've shared with a lot of younger kids that I've been around, the last few summers. People all thinking that they should be given something. Well, you know what? It doesn't work that way. You got to go out and grind. You got to go out and work. You got to go out and out-prepare somebody mentally, out-prepare somebody physically, out-prepare somebody, and have the spirituality and faith to keep yourself strong because there's going to be adversity, but it's going to be how you deal and cope with that adversity that's going to set you apart from the competitor, whether it's going to be a teammate for a position on a team or whether it's going to be with a team in your region or a team within your conference or you winning a championship. To hear you talk about Mike James, again, I'm a friend and a fan of Mike James. As you mentioned, landed again with the Chicago Bulls this year. When he was not quite sure what he was going to do, he and I had talked, and I was going to bring him to Venezuela so he could continue to work on his skill set until he got that NBA break. So to hear you mention Mike James's name, I love that. And you are what the Development League and the NBA epitomizes about, the maturation, the maturity, the development of coaches. I see bright things in your future, Coach Sean Rooks, and I'm thrilled for you. I'm happy for you. I get chills listening to you talk because I remember the grind many years ago, back when I had a lot more hair, that, watching you work hard to establish yourself and to keep yourself, in a position to learn and grow from NBA coaches and players and to see where you're at now. I'm tickled to death, and I know that the good Lord has a plan and a path paved for you, and I know you're going to continue to make healthy choices to live that path and reap the fruits of your labors. And I'm proud of you, buddy. Thank you so much for blessing us being a part of this show tonight, my man.
Hey, Coach, thank you very much. And I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity. Best to you and your family. Best to your, best to your endeavors and your development. For our listeners out there, keep supporting Coach Scott Fields. He's a quality act. There's so much controversy that sells out there. Come to a person that is trying to empower and do something positive and really be an ambassador to the sport. And happy Cinco de Mayo. Be safe driving, and I really appreciate you. God bless.
God bless, Sean. I really appreciate you, my man. We'll talk soon, buddy.
All right, take care of yourself, Coach.
You bet. Wow. Is it? I keep saying